consent sits right at the heart of intimacy on set. Consent of the actor, for what they show and for what they do for themselves. Consent between the two partners, where you can touch me, where I'm happy to be touched, where I can touch you, where I'm happy to touch you. Making a shape and knowing all of those boundaries before you move into it. That's at the heart of it. If you keep that consent and that questioning of consent alive through the whole process, not just assuming that the consent that was agreed on the day one or in rehearsals is the same as day 20.
Hey guys, my name is Eddie from SF from Chronicles, and welcome to the press junket for Fatal Seduction. Please introduce yourselves, your name, your surname, and your character in Fatal Seduction.
Hello, Eddie. Thank you for having us. My name is Lunathi Mampofu, and I play Brenda, Grootboom.
What's up, Eddie? My name is Nat Ramabulana, and I play Vuyo Mahlati.
Hey Eddie, my name's Kate Lush, and I am one of the intimacy coordinators on Fatal Seduction.
Awesome. Now let's get into the thick of things. Kate, could you just briefly break down what's the importance of having an intimacy coordinator, especially for a series like Fatal Seduction?
I think for a series like Fatal Seduction, where intimacy is at the heart of it, you know, mixed in with the drama, having an intimacy coordinator on set brings a professional framework for the actors to bring their best work to the set. They know that they're being listened to, respected, their boundaries are being respected, both their personal boundaries, but their boundaries with each other. It brings an open conversation to the table from the directors. What are you looking to see? How are you looking to see this? How can we shoot this relative to the actor's comforts? One actor would like to not show this part of the body or simulate this sexual act. So how do we then create physical blocking and storytelling and choreography that they can then work with that still drives the narrative of Fatal Seduction forward? And so that's why I think on a show like this, otherwise there's the potential for just a generic scene to constantly be present and the actors to just repeat, oh, this is what simulated sex looks like. But actually there was myself and Natalie Fisher, who's a choreographer, in the world constantly we're going, okay, what are the storytelling beats in this moment? What are we trying to see between these two characters in this moment? And I think that's why on Fatal Seduction particularly, it was vital to have an intimacy coordinator. Yeah.
Yeah. Lunathi and Nat, sex scenes always invoke conversations with the audience. And however, in the past, some of the actors that I've spoken to have really said that it's not as we perceive it, you know, and that for you guys, you got like a whole lot of people behind the scenes on set, so it's really not that kind of feeling. Can you just explain more of like why is that the case?
Why is that the case?
Well,
Sure. So, in a normal scenario, you've met a girl or boy, you've decided that you like them, and then you're going to pursue them, and you're going to take the necessary steps to pursue them. You're going to talk, you're going to warm yourself up with whatever you need to warm yourself up. You're going to engage in conversation. There's going to be there's a privacy about it. You're going to go into a room, which is just the two of you, and whatever happens in there's some kind of contract that you guys have sort of agreed on. There's a consent, hopefully, that you've agreed on that whatever happens here stays here. On set, it's going to be filmed. There's a boom person who needs to hear you. Yeah. There's a lighting that needs to touch you. There's all of these elements that come in. And also, we are virtual strangers. I haven't chatted her up. I don't even know if I like her. I don't even know if she likes me. You know, there's so much stuff that we haven't gone past. So many sort of layers of consent that we actually haven't really gone through. And it needs to happen in a moment, and it also needs to fill in the story and appear as though it's fresh and it's amazing and it's now and it's gripping and it's entertaining. Having Kate, and this is something that, you know, I really, Netflix, Fatal Seductions, which is on the 7th of July, which everybody's going to watch. I honestly salute them. For myself and Lou had the first red scene to be shot on production. So it's not the first scene you'll see, but it's the first scene that was shot on production. And it was steamy, it's beautiful, it's nice, it's got all those elements. But having Kate there, just to be able to express any kind of discomfort, it's awkward. I mean, sex in life is awkward. So now, you know what I'm saying. It has its moments. Yeah. And now on screen, it's a whole another thing. You know, with people watching, with certain notes to hit, and so on. So just being able to express those doubts, express that concern or whatever awkwardness there is, it was just amazing. And still be able to drive at the narrative and tell a good story.
With you, Lunathi, portraying a sensitive topic such as suicide in Fatal Seduction must have been like quite a significant challenge, especially as an actress, you know. How did you handle the seriousness of the subject, and what important message do you think that the viewers will take from especially your character of Brenda?
Touching on this topic was obviously very sensitive because I always draw, as an actress, I always draw from whatever is around me and the people that are around me and experiences that I've experienced in my life. So to be honest with you, that's what I used, you know, to get into that character. But I tried to, obviously, with everything that I do, take myself out of it, you know, so that it doesn't affect me as Lunathi, as a performer, because every single thing that we do, you end up, if you don't de-roll, you know, properly at the end of the day, then you end up taking that home with you. What I want the audience to walk away with for what Brenda is going through on Fatal Seduction is just being there for each other. I think is one of the most important things. Just literally being able to feel and sense what another person is going through without them having to necessarily say anything, you know. I think that's what we are so detached about when it comes to people in general, is that we don't have that connection with each other anymore. It's just about, okay, so-and-so is there and I am here and I'm living my life. And if we can just move past that and kind of move more into a spiritual level of it, then I think we'll understand each other better. I don't know if I'm answering the question, but I hope so, yeah.
Kate, how do you ensure that, you know, intimacy scenes on set are consensual? And then can you also just give us a bit of a breakdown on what are you allowed to do and what are you not allowed to do?
Consent sits right at the heart of intimacy on set. Consent of the actor, what they show and for what they do for themselves. Consent between the two partners, where you can touch me, where I'm happy to be touched, where I can touch you, where I'm happy to touch you. Making a shape and knowing all of those boundaries before you move into it. That's at the heart of it. If you keep that consent and that questioning of consent alive through the whole process, not just assuming that the consent that was agreed on the day one or in rehearsals is the same as day 20 or day 40. It's changing all the time. We feel differently about ourselves all the time. We feel differently. Just today, I just feel self-conscious today, and I don't want to do, and you know, remove X, Y, and Z. And we go, okay, fine. How can we just construct a scene then that will tell that same story, but makes you feel empowered and makes you feel supported and listened to? Or how can we meet you where you're at today? And I think that's the fundamental key for it. Always conversations, clear communications, and consent.
And do you guys like get to choose? Okay, let's just say in pre-production for the series, and obviously you know that like this series is gonna have a lot of explicit sex scenes as well, and I mean your families and you know friends and partners will be able to see that. So do you like what sort of like how do you prepare your family and your partners for like in, you know, because obviously they're going to see you guys on these sex scenes. So how do you prepare them? What conversations are you having with them?
Exactly what's going to happen. No, it's literally, I went all the way to Cape Town to have a conversation. My dad's a pastor. I grew up in a very conservative but liberal home, you know. But with all of that happening and growing up in that world where everyone is perceiving you as pastor's daughter, PK, you get worried about what people are going to say and how it's going to affect the family at large. But I'm very, I guess in in my case, we always had these conversations, but I've also got the most liberal parents who understand what I do and understand the craft itself and understand that that's not Lunathi that is in front on that screen. That's a character that she's portraying, right? But it still doesn't make it easy for you to do certain things, you know? So you also have to really just work on yourself mentally. And a lot of us too, you know, we had to have those difficult conversations with ourselves, and because we were all anxious right at the beginning, not knowing how this thing is going to be played out. I mean, the script is saying it's hectic, you know, so we really had to have a lot of communication even amongst ourselves about how their partners, some of us are married, how their partners feel, dude, like how far can I go with you and all of those things. So that really helped.
Absolutely. My wife is extremely supportive. She studied drama, so but we're still married and we're still people, and of course we're still going to get affected by certain things, but it's a job, and we've come, you know, in my career, we've come to understand that what I do is not necessarily a reflection of who I am. It is a job, and I still need to do it to the best of my ability. Still need to speak to people at church though, so hey.
Right.
And Nate, in terms of for you, like how long did it take you to master your walk? I think it's called it's a gate walk, I think that's what it's called. Okay. And how long did it take you to master that walk? Because it was really convincing, gotta say. Okay. And how difficult was it to remain consistent throughout the filming process of the series?
I went through different phases. I initially didn't want the stick, but then I got feedback that I wasn't convincing enough without it. And I things like that. I'm a kind of actor. I'm open to trying out things, and I don't take anything personally. So I got the feedback. I got the stick, and I guess it made it easier. And we worked out. I tried putting a stone in my shoe, trying to get a little method and stuff, but that just became too uncomfortable. And then I remember we called in an actress, and we just sort of went through the different ways where the weight goes in the body, and what happens to the leg, and yeah. So thank you.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, guys, congratulations. And it's actually so interesting speaking to an intimacy coordinator to get a different perspective of how you prepare the characters. So that's
everybody
really
just
cool.
wants to speak to Kate.
Yeah, but awesome. Congratulations, guys. And yeah, guys, please make sure to check out Fatal Seduction on Netflix, 7th July 2023.
Danger is now my addiction.